Microsoft Xbox is such a smart company. They've realized, hey, maybe it's not a great idea to release one Fallout role-playing single-player game every 15 years or something. They finally come to the conclusion that that may not be so great. It's weird to me because this has always been a problem. Long before Microsoft bought Bethesda themselves, they dealt with this. They actually solved the problem quite quickly, but then it just continued after that. They solved it, and then they made it a problem straight after because of jealousy. Essentially what happened is Fallout 3 releases, which at the time it was extremely popular. I've got some issues with it, but I'll acknowledge that at the time, very, very popular. And then Bethesda, they move on to Skyrim, and they realize, hey, if we work on this for 4 years, we're not going to get a Fallout game for like 10 years. So how about we hand it off to the experts at Obsidian, which had team members there who'd worked on the OG Fallouts 1 and 2. They knew the IP very well. They could be trusted. They proved they could be trusted because they delivered New Vegas in like 18 months, maybe 2 years. And it's revered by fans. Very well received. It was buggy. It had glitches, maybe even more than a lot of Bethesda games, but they barely had any time to really let it cook. So they did a great job with the time they had. New Vegas, it may be the most popular entry, at least with like really hardcore fans of the series. So the problem was solved. We were going to get Fallout regularly. Maybe we get one from Bethesda every 5-7 years. Then we maybe get one from Obsidian or another studio that they trust. And we didn't change like that. But then Bethesda, they had to go and ruin it by letting jealousy get in the way. I honestly believe there's been a lot of rumors over the years about why didn't Bethesda allow Obsidian to work on more Fallout? Is it because that game, New Vegas, was better received and they were salty about that? Was it for another reason? Did relationships break down? My best effort at a non-biased theory, if I, in good faith, assume that Todd's not an idiot, he makes decisions that he thinks are best for the brands of his IPs, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and so on, I honestly think that Bethesda, they reckon that Fallout is best as basically a looter shooter in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, dungeon crawling, with a sprinkling of story. They seem to want Fallout to be the least RPG of all of their IPs, even Starfield. I think Starfield is probably their worst, like, mainstream game. It's probably worse in the real old days, but Starfield has been the worst Bethesda game in like 30 years or something. And it is still more of an RPG than Fallout 4. They tried to make it more of a role-playing game. I still think that Fallout 4 is a better game. I had more fun with it. But I also think that Fallout 4, that's when Mask Off, it showed that Bethesda don't really care about RPGs anymore. Or at least they don't care about them when it comes to Fallout, because you had all the settlement crap. The story was stupid, very hard to find an interesting questline, but they put all this time into the gunplay, all these other areas outside the role-playing side. So for me, that's the real reason that Obsidian weren't allowed another crack at it, because Obsidian wanted Fallout to be a genuine RPG. There wasn't this huge focus on looter shooting, making that all of the focus. It was going to be about role-playing character story, great settlements to explore, people to meet, great writing. None of those are in the Bethesda Fallouts. Fallout 3 had a little bit of it, but it was pretty much all gone by the time we get to Fallout 4. And then they released Fallout 76, which literally didn't even have NPCs to talk to when it first launched. So at the start, they honestly thought, no one's gonna care if you can't meet any characters. People just play Fallout for the looting, to collect nuts and bolts, take them back to their base of operations, and go from there. They seem to genuinely think that's what the fans wanted. They were banking on it with 76. Fallout 76 was meant to tie people over between Fallout 4 all the way up until we get a Fallout 5 from them, which they knew at the time was going to be like 15 years, because Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, then Fallout 5, they banked on Fallout 76. But what happened after that? Things changed a little bit, because good old Microsoft, they bought out Bethesda, they kept spending, Activision, Blizzard, so on, and they own all the IPs in the world now. So Microsoft Xbox, this is now their problem that's on their doorstep. And there is a rumor now doing the rounds that Xbox reportedly wants the next Fallout game to come sooner. Geniuses over there. They make the big calls, the big decisions. And the details of this are that Xbox is planning a new Fallout game sooner than expected. Is it really It was Fallout 4 in 2015. Even if you start work on this now, we're going to get it in like 2030 or something, because presumably this would have to go to a brand new team. We've never worked on a Fallout game before. And we've seen how Xbox goes with like the new Fable. They gave it to a studio who's never made an RPG before. There's been supposedly development problems. They're making a new Perfect Dark as well. You would think a single-player campaign, you'd hope that's what that is. I don't know what they're doing. Is it going to be like a battle royale or some nonsense? Who knows with Microsoft? But you would think Perfect Dark, just make a quality 10-hour campaign or something. I'd be happy with that. And it's been like 5 years? And there's been talk of like restarting development. They're clowns. The management at Microsoft, they're all clowns, at least in the Xbox side of things. So I've got no faith. But even if they start up a studio to work on Fallout right now, it's years away. It's hard to get excited about in this day and age. I remember as a kid, if I heard that a game was getting made, I thought, oh, fantastic, we're going to get that in like 12 months, 2 years at the very most. Now it feels like it's a lifetime away. There's no point even thinking about it, theorizing almost. Because, like, what is that? Half a decade till I'm going to be able to even look at it. This would likely be separate from Fallout 5, as Bethesda has ruled that out until the Elder Scrolls 6 launches. So the official Fallout 5, that is still going to be like 2033 or something ridiculous like that. I'm assuming it's going to be Todd Howard's final game, because he's getting up there a bit in age. And these days, you've got a forward plan. If you're like 50, you've got to be thinking like, this could be the last game I work on. Some games, you look at Suicide Squad, 9 years in development. Who knows what's going to happen with an Elder Scrolls 6 even, because Bethesda know they have to deliver. They can't just do another Starfield, or their reputation's pretty much dead. If they just release Starfield Sword and Sorcery Edition, and they slap Elder Scrolls on the box, I could see a day, a really sad reality in like 8 years, where people start getting nostalgic for Starfield. And they start saying, oh my goodness, remember that game where you could go to all the different planets? Remember how there were no maps? Like you go to town and you have no idea where you are. It's not like there's genuine signposts and it's a immersive experience to not have maps. It's just incompetence. Like they're not there. They didn't put them in the game. It wasn't ready to release. But even that was better than Elder Scrolls 6. Come on, Bethesda, take us back to the days of Starfield. It could go that way because they seem to go downhill with every entry. I've got no faith in Elder Scrolls 6 from Bethesda, let alone Fallout 5. I think they peaked at what they do like 15 years ago. It's a long time because games take so long. How many team members are actually still there? If you look at game developers' LinkedIns, just in any industry really, most people these days, they're not staying in jobs for like a decade because you're kind of losing out, because if you move around, it's the best way to get a pay rise. Most competent people are going to be doing that to sort of move up with their careers. So people don't stay, which means you don't really retain all the learnings of the prior game. You're just going to have a lot of people coming and going, and a lot of those people coming in, they're probably going to be bad employees. It'll take you a little while to figure out that they are useless, that they are incompetent. Not to say that there's really anyone there who's been there a long time that is good. Emil, he's been there. He's someone who sticks around, probably because he knows he's got it good. He can sit back, relax. He's never held accountable. He can just keep producing rubbish, and Todd seems to lap it up. The team laps it up. It's all fine. But what's important here is if Bethesda, if we kind of agree, I know it's subjective, but if we kind of agree that Bethesda don't produce anything of quality these days, why are they in control of the Fallout IP? Microsoft owns it all now. They can technically do what they want with it, but it seems like Bethesda have some hand, they have some say, and they can kind of go, no, Fallout's our thing. Leave it with us, even though we just bought the IP like Disney bought Star Wars. It's not like they created it or anything. They get to have all of the control. It shouldn't be like that anymore. After Starfield, they should have lost all of that credibility. Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, he should just be doing what's best for Fallout, or at least taking a chance. Maybe you get it wrong. You somehow give it to people who are even more incompetent than Bethesda, but at least you've tried. At least you've tried to get something out. Leaving Fallout to 2033, That's giving up. That's useless. You've got the TV show. I don't care about the TV show, but what it's doing is it's absolutely ramping up player numbers. There's no denying that it has caused a huge resurgence in Fallout, and many of them will be returning players, but I'm sure a lot of them are actually new players. So if we look at Fallout 4, for instance, 116,000 people playing on Steam an hour ago, and that peaked at like 186,000 this month. Nearly 200k people. We compare that to Starfield, where we've got a glowing 5,000 people playing as of an hour ago. In fact, the really telling part of this, October 2023, 1 month after Starfield came out, the absolute peak in the month just after release was near 140,000 people. So Fallout 4, a 9-year-old game, has had a higher peak in the last 30 days than Starfield had in only its second month after launch. And it's a pretty long game. It's not like everyone finished it in 2 weeks and moved on like some campaigns. Most of the same people playing at launch probably should have still been playing it, but most of them dropped it because it's a piece of crap. Now, obviously, Fallout is an established IP, unlike Starfield, so that will have a say in that, but that's kind of the point. You've got an established IP. This proves you can get huge numbers, like Elden Ring kind of numbers, where it becomes a big event. And this is for a 9-year-old game. Imagine if there was a Fallout 5 around the corner, the amount of hype that would be generated. I mean, it's not often that you release a TV show, a movie based on a game, and it's well received. As I've said, I'm not really that interested in the Fallout TV show, but I can't deny that people have been interested in it. So to drop the ball this hard and to have nothing ready in terms of a Fallout game, it's pathetic on all fronts, not just from Bethesda, but also Microsoft. Because it's their problem now. It's no longer Bethesda's issue to treat the Fallout IP with some respect and release games on a regular basis. You'd hope they'd have respect for it, but the buck doesn't really stop with them anymore. It stops with Xbox. And they bought Bethesda ages ago. They knew that this was going to be the case. They knew that Bethesda would not have a Fallout out for like 15 years, and they chose to sit on their hands and do nothing. They always seem to do this. They always seem to do nothing, and then cracks emerge. They still do nothing, and no one loses their job. No one gets held accountable. It's a weird unit over at Microsoft, especially on that Xbox team. I don't understand how that works. And the sad thing is, even Fallout 76 is up by 300%. People are so desperate for new Fallout because they've played all the others a million times. They finally thought, all right, I'll give this shitty one a crack. I don't know. I've even had that thought process before where I thought maybe I'll give it a try, but then you remember things like a subscription in the game, like an MMO. I know it's optional, but just that feeling of I'm getting an inferior experience if I don't pay more, I can't be stuffed with that. Microtransactions on the store, get the fuck out with that. I'm not that desperate yet. I'm not going to play it. I'm going to give it a miss, but people are clearly just hyped for Fallout. They want it. There's demand, but you're not delivering the supply. There hasn't been a real Fallout in so long. And the end of this rumor, so where it sort of came from, on a recent episode of the Xbox 2 podcast, Jez Corden claimed that the company is aware of the demand for the Fallout label. Again, geniuses over there. And everyone is acutely aware of how successful the next title in the series will be. At this point, one of the only avenues the company could take to speed up the development of Fallout 5 is to take it away from Bethesda entirely. That would make it the first major Fallout game not developed by Bethesda since New Vegas. So this again was a problem already solved. This was tried before, and it succeeded. It was a big success, and now you're treating it like it's this big risk. Oh my goodness, shall we take it off Bethesda's hands? Imagine all that could go wrong. Nothing could get worse. Things are bad already, or they've gone really bad in the past. Again, Exhibit A, Fallout 76. It's worth a go just to take that risk. It could be crap. We could get a terrible Fallout, but no one's really going to care because it's not like it's going to slow down the development of Fallout 5 anyway. And a lot of people have lost confidence in that. So just try it. Maybe you give it to a studio, whether it's Obsidian again, or they might be past it. You may even have to create a brand new studio from scratch. Maybe that works. Maybe you bring in veterans. I think like Tim Kaine, who created Fallout, he's not sort of running anything at the moment. I think he's just a programmer. You could probably get him to at least consult on it, at least get the lore right and things like that. I don't think the TV show has necessarily done a great job of that side, according to some people. So you could get the creator of Fallout. I'm sure there's other people who would be chomping at the bit to work on a game like this. They'd absolutely want to give it a crack. Maybe you try it. It could fall over. You could all fall flat on your faces, like we see with Halo. That has a dedicated studio. They've never released a good game in their life. So it could be terrible, but things can't get any worse. Again, it's sad that we're hearing this rumor today. If we got this rumor 5 years ago, then it would have been good news. As soon as Bethesda was purchased, we heard Microsoft are going to really speed up the development of Fallout. It's going to be really great. We're going to get a game really soon. Instead, by announcing it now, like, it just feels almost too late. Like, by the time you do this, Fallout 5 will probably be in development. Elder Scrolls 6 will probably have come out, so people will go, oh yeah, we'll get Fallout 5 one day. The TV show, people probably won't care about it at that point. Just seems like, as usual, Xbox totally asleep at the wheel, don't know what they're doing, just wasting time, treading water. Another failure by them. So I guess it's good news if it means we do get a Fallout like in the next 10 years. Maybe that could be decent, but it's not even something I want to really think about in depth for a while. Until we know what's going on, maybe they announce, yep, we've made the studio, they've got a prototype, here's what it looks like. That's probably the time to get excited, but just seeing the rumor here, a bit of a shame. A shame is all I can really say. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.